The Houston Livestock and Rodeo took place just over a week or so ago, and within that event is one of the most well-attended barbecue contests, most prestigious contest to win this year. Operation BBQ Relief takes down the crown. Here to help me recap the event, DeWayne Daniel. DeWayne, how are you, buddy?
Man, I'm great, Greg. How are you today?
I'm absolutely fabulous. DeWayne, appreciate you making time here for the show this evening. I guess before we get into the event recap, for the folks that don't know, you, a little background about yourself and Competition Barbecue.
Well, first of all, I just want to say thanks for having me on the show. It's my first time on.
Yep, for sure.
I hate that I had to follow a legend like Malcolm Reed, good buddy of mine, but I do appreciate it.
Yep.
Little recap on myself. Actually, just a small-time barbecue cook. Done a lot of stuff locally. Nothing really competitive. I mean, we did do the circuit there for a little while and got hooked up with a group out of Kennett, Missouri, which was the Redneck Grillers. And they afforded me the opportunity to go a little more and learn the trade a little bit, had a little bit of luck, and during that process is when I found out about Operation BBQ Relief.
Let's pull back for a second here. For the folks that aren't familiar with Houston Livestock and Rodeo, how many teams are in it, and how is a team able to compete? This isn't an event that you can just pay an entry fee and roll into, correct?
That is correct. This year, I believe there was 259 teams. The waiting list to get into the Houston Rodeo is a mile long, and I will be honest, the way that we got into it, back in August of 2017, Operation BBQ Relief responded to Hurricane Harvey there in Houston, and we was deployed there for 11 days, fed 371,760 meals,
wow.
And lo and behold, one day I was sitting in there, and this lady come up to me and was looking for a job to do, and we get to talking, and I wanted to, find out what her interests were, what her strengths were, to be able to place her in the in our volunteer pool, to the best spot that she would be comfortable with. And lo and behold, it turned out to be a lady named Jennifer Hazelton, which was the CFO to the Houston Rodeo. And as with any competition cook, and that we are mostly in OBR, the Houston Rodeo is what I consider one of the 4 prestigious events to go to.
Sure.
And, I just made a comment that, man, that was on my bucket list one of these days. And told her, that I've been afforded the opportunity to cook at Memphis in May, the American Royal, the Jack, but Houston was on that bucket list. And a couple of weeks after we got back from that deployment, I got an email from her and said, hey, you need to check out our Facebook page. And the Houston Rodeo returned a big favor for us going down and helping out the community of Houston. And actually, we learned a story this year that we didn't know last year. The spot that we was given was the actual spot for the city of Houston. So the city and the rodeo come together and gave us a spot and gave us an opportunity to go into the rodeo and into the World Championship contest.
So that's a great repayment for the work that you guys were doing down there for the folks that were displaced, first responders, and so on. I mean, you said just short of 400,000 meals over that 11-day period. Is this a one-time opportunity, or is that going to be now a standing offer going forward where OBR will be able to cook this event?
It is going to be a forward opportunity.
Wow.
We got down there last year. To be honest, we, as with any competition that's that large and that type of a team entry, I mean, it's all a crapshoot. It has to do with, number one, you have to cook a good product, but it's a little bit of luck on what table you end up on, and this, that, and the other, and how the judges perceive your entries that day. Well, last year we lucked up and we finished 3rd in ribs, and actually finished 11th in brisket. Had a little trouble with our chicken last year. We had a malfunction with one of our gurus, got wet overnight and couldn't really pull out of it, and scored a little lower on chicken than we'd like, but we still ended up 6th place overall. So, we was kind of pumped about it, and at that time we didn't know if it would be a one-time opportunity, and they assured us right after the rodeo last year that it would be an opportunity to go forward as long as we wanted it.
DeWayne Daniel joining me here on the show. We're talking about the recap of the Houston Livestock and Rodeo Operation BBQ Relief here that takes down the crown. So there's a lot of teams that are there that are competing as themselves. Maybe they're on champion row. There's some other teams that don't have near the experience that a lot of these other vets have, and they're just kind of doing it all themselves. How was Operation BBQ Relief set up? There are some other teams, for instance, there's, I think, Jay Tinney, who had a spot on Champions Row, but he had brought in 3 different cooks to cook 3 different meats, and he was more or less the team manager, if you will. So were you a manager of Operation BBQ Relief, or how was it set up for you guys?
That's exactly what it was, Greg. I was, man, I had the easiest job in the rodeo down at the contest. With Operation BBQ Relief, we've got access to some of the world's and the nation's greatest cooks. A lot of consistent people. A lot of people believe in the organization, and I was able to pick my cook team last year and this year both. I had you're down in Texas, so what's prevalent in Texas? It's brisket.
Yeah.
So I went down to Texas and I picked out our best brisket cook that I thought we could get was Joey Smith, Texas Chrome, and I turned him loose. And my rib cook this year was Mark Lambert. Well, what can you say that someone doesn't know Mark Lambert? It's a multi-time winner at Memphis in May.
Yeah.
Had won the ribs and the American Roll, I believe, last year or maybe the year before. And then we had a guy cooking our chicken, which is Scott Guy, that a lot of people probably don't know the name per se, but Scott cooked with a Memphis and May team, predominantly natural born grillers, which is John David Wheeler.
Mm-hmm.
And like I say, my job was easy. I told the guys that I was there to help them. I didn't care what they cooked, the recipe they cooked. I didn't need to approve of anything. Just turned in the best product they could. And basically, I'm gonna tell you what my job consisted of this year. I helped sauce one chicken when Mark was pulling his ribs out, and I also Mark looked at me and said, "Hey, which 4 bones did I finish putting in this box?" That was my extent of of my cooking ability at the rodeo. Like I say, it was it was tough, but I mean somebody had to do it, and it was an easy job. My team or our team, I should say, made it very easy.
If that isn't the definition of heavy lifting, DeWayne, I don't know what is. I'm glad somebody showed up and was able to pull that out. I'm glad that was you, DeWayne. Well done, and hopefully you can do that again next year. So as you start to like,
I tell you what, Greg, it's not going to be from the lack of trying next year. I can assure you.
No doubt. So as you are going through like calls, and on this show we know a lot about how a bunch of other sanctioning bodies do their awards. How does Houston Livestock do their awards, and does it crescendo with here's a bunch of teams that are in the running and here's who wins it?
Well, it's an all blind judging. They actually changed the rules last year a little bit. Beforehand, I mean, every team down there is allotted so many spaces. A standard spot is a 40 by 40. There's a lot of larger teams down there that may have 4 or 6 spaces. A couple of years ago, like I said, they changed the rules from the beginning when, let's say a team that had 6 spots, they could turn in 1 meet, but they could turn it in 6 times. And last year they went to basically the KCBS, ICBA type rules, to where no matter how many spots you had, you only got to turn in 1 entry, but you could turn in all 3 meats, which, like I say, was brisket, ribs, or chicken. So it kind of leveled the playing field a little bit. I talked to a couple of guys out of the rodeo this year after we won, and they said predominantly this year that the smaller teams won. It's the guys that were more well-rounded in cooking actually kind of dominated the award ceremony. And what they do there is they take the top 10 out of the blind judging, and that you become a finalist, and that's where it ends. It's done. They take the low and the high score, they throw that out, and add the rest of them together and get your points. If there's a tie, they add the low and the high back in and do the tiebreakers. So that's how they go about their business down there.
When Operation BBQ Relief is called as overall champs, I mean, it's got to be an incredible feeling. That's a huge competition to win. I mean, people want to win that not only every year, but they just want to take one down over the course of their career if they are lucky enough to get in it. And there's hired guns and barbecue contract assassins, as I like to call them, that show up in there. I have some friends on this show that have been a part of winning teams. What's it like, and what are you guys talking about after you guys kind of realize you are the champions?
Man, I tell you what, Greg, it was it was an unreal moment. Knowing our cooks that have been, been all over the America cooking different contests and winning this and that and the other. And, just having that feeling, it was nerve wracking while you're on stage waiting for your name to be called and this, that, and the other. But when it finally happened, I mean, it was just, it was true elation, just, a feeling that you can't really put in words.
From a cooker standpoint, I'm interested. You guys use the same kind of cooker for each meat, or did each guy bring their own separate cooker?
Each guy brought their own cooker. Joey cooks on a Jambo, cooked his brisket over there, which Mark Lambert cooked his ribs on a backwoods. That's what he is famous for. And we cooked the chicken on one of Mark Lambert's little bitty red box smokers. It was a very simple setup. Which down in Houston you have to. They come by and tag your meat, and you get 2 entries per deal. So they tag 2 briskets, 2 racks of ribs, and 2 chickens. So I mean, at some of the other contests where you have larger pits and this, that, and the other, just not needed down there. And we had a very small footprint as far as as our cook site inside our site, and worked out well.
DeWayne Daniel joining me here on the show, recapping the Houston Livestock and Rodeo win with Team Operation BBQ Relief. Through various sanctioning bodies, DeWayne, you hear a lot, especially over the last couple of years, about increasing the payouts and making contests worthwhile to compete in because of the expense it takes to get out there and actually be competitive. This event really isn't about the money that much. It's about belt buckles and bragging rights and being philanthropic. What kind of a payout do you get for winning the Houston Livestock and Rodeo?
Absolutely zero.
Wow. Uh-oh. Great payout.
Absolutely zero.
Wow.
You get the, as the old saying goes, it's a prestigious title that no one can take away from you. I will be honest, we got some very nice belt buckles from the Houston Rodeo, which I proudly wore at our OBR training and awards banquet this past weekend that everybody kind of Googled over a little bit and oohed and awed over. So, it's more of a prestigious title than it is about money.
DeWayne, next year, is there any reason to believe that you wouldn't be rotating back the same 3 guys that took down the championship this year?
I believe in rewarding success. The same guys will be with me until one of them backs out and we prove that we can't be competitive. And with the group that I have, I don't see the cook team changing anytime soon. With Operation BBQ Relief, we do believe in spreading the wealth. There will be different volunteers in different roles of the organization that may come in and do different parts of the what we call the front of the house, the promotion of OBR. But the cook team will remain the same as far as I'm concerned.
DeWayne Daniel.
And really, truly, can you blame me? I mean,
Hey, I've always been a fan and subscriber. If it's not broke, don't fix it. And if you are winning the championship, there's no reason that I wouldn't be turning around those same guys if they're willing to come back in 2020 and go to defend. I think you're right on.
I tell you what, with the smiles that I've seen on those guys' faces and the hugs and the laughter and this, that, and the other, I just can't I can't see any one of them not wanting to come back.
Yeah, and it's an all-time title, no doubt about it, and it's DeWayne Daniel, Operation BBQ Relief, helping me recap it and break it all down. DeWayne, really appreciate the time this evening. If you are looking to support Operation BBQ Relief, what's the website to go hit?
www.operationbbqrelief.org. You can also, if you want to sign up to volunteer, You can text OBR to 51555.
51555 to volunteer. All right, DeWayne, really appreciate the time tonight, my man. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Greg.
You got
Have
it.
a good night.
There he is. DeWayne Daniel, Operation BBQ Relief, Texas Post, Houston Livestock and Rodeo team manager, and they take down the title in 2019. That's right.